Ladies and gentlemen, this might actually be very good news for Roblox Limiteds. So recently, Roblox announced an assortment of upcoming changes for UGC creators and all of the accessories that they make. And we will be taking a look into each single one of them today to see how they could potentially affect limited items and just trading overall. Now, first of all, we have the makeup update, which obviously on the surface, I mean, this may not really seem impactful for limiteds or anything like that because we've never had like, I don't know, limited makeup or something like that. However, a lot of people suggested the theory that this could be released alongside the limited dynamic faces that are set to be released at any time now, since I believe they will need a few faces to use as, I don't know, like test subjects or something like that. This seems like a very reasonable theory, and also considering the fact that the release date for this is early 2026, I believe we can expect dynamic limited faces to come soon as well. Now, of course, I mean, it is needless to say that I believe that both of these updates are completely unnecessary. I mean, makeup, I personally do not obviously wear makeup, but whatever people do, I mean, more customization. But like dynamic limited faces, personally, not my cup of tea, I'm not gonna lie. Now, this second upcoming change is totally unrelated to limiteds, but I just thought I would glance over this change because, you know, I personally think this is going to be very cool. UGC animation packs will finally be a thing very soon. And I honestly think that, you know, bad moderation aside, I believe this is going to be a very cool change. People have been asking for these for a few good years now, so it's going to be very nice to see what people are going to make with, you know, UGC animation packs. Now, this third upcoming change may actually impact a few lower tier limiteds in my personal opinion, such as items like the transparent ice phones and also the ethereal ghost egg, and maybe other ones that I could have potentially forgot, I'm sorry. However, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it, PBR Alpha is going to allow UGC creators to make items with transparent textures. As you can see, PBR Alpha, which is going to be released in mid 2026, which allows you to create high fidelity accessories with reflective effects, most realistic shading, and also semi-translucent avatar items. As you can see by this picture right here, they can be semi-transparent or whatever you would like. You know, a lot of people might see this as a bad change, but I personally believe that this is a good change, you know what I mean? Like, it just allows for more customization and stuff, so honestly I see that as a win. However, you might be a little confused as to why I believe this update will only impact smaller items, and I believe it is for the same reason as to why UGC limited ripoffs did not end up ruining other limited, such as the Valkyrie helm and stuff. However, the UGC ripoffs did make the lower ones take a little bit of a toll because, you know, most people who could only afford a perfectly legitimate business hat, they would rather go for a fake Valkyrie or something for like 200 Robux. However, the big transparent items, aka like the red, green, purple, and regular ice crowns, they have been desired by the community for the longest time ever. So they will most likely not suffer with, you know, this transparency being a public UGC feature. Now, on the other hand, we have an item like the transparent ice phones, which has always been deemed as very ugly by the community, whether it is by the mesh, the texture, whatever. However, it has always been deemed as a little bit ugly. The only thing that these transparent ice phones they have going for them is their very slight rarity. Other than that, it was always mostly seen as, you know, pretty ugly by most of the community. So, no, I believe people will not hesitate to find a replacement for the item or something like that. Now, do you, my friend, think this is going to end up affecting the ice crowns? Let me know down here in the comments, alright? And finally, for the last upcoming UGC change, we have emissive maps, which is essentially going to make items that glow and emit light a possibility in Roblox, which I also personally think is very cool and opens the doors for a lot of possibilities. Just this pumpkin right here is already a very cool thing, so, you know, it's gonna be cool to see what people are gonna do with this. Now, that is it for the upcoming changes. However, did you feel a particular lack of something that we have already discussed in this channel before? You would be right if you thought about UGC particles. They did not say a singular word about UGC particles, and I personally take that as a win for a multitude of reasons. Now, first and foremost, obviously I believe that this is going to be a good change because that means that we will not have more unnecessary legendary UGC limited ripoff with items like the Fiery Horns, Ghost Deary, 8-bit Royal Crown, and also other particle items. However, I also think that this was a very good move on Roblox's end because of their very poor item moderation and just moderation overall. They announced a few years ago that they would use AI moderation to help eliminate limited item ripoffs from the catalog, yet here we are with tens of thousands of undeleted ripoffs flooding the catalog. Now imagine how bad the situation will become with particles, not only for the ripoff aspect but just for general moderation. Someone could simply publish a ton of inappropriate images, add them to multiple items for all players around Roblox to see. That would take an even bigger toll on Roblox's reputation relative to their already horrible moderation. And now for my last reason, which was highlighted by Sir Dapper last year, so mega shout out to you. Particle items right now are relatively scarce or harmless to game performance because not many people own particle emitting items. However, if every single person had access to particle items, it would probably end up causing a lot of in-game performance issues, especially for people with lower end devices, which I personally believe is the main reason why they ended up cutting this feature. Either this or moderation. I do not really think that they care about limited ripoffs or anything like that, but either way, a good change in my eyes. Anyways, what do you believe will impact limiteds the most out of these new updates? Let me know, my friends, down here in the comments. Alright, let me know down here in the comments. That was it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for every single member of the YouTube channel. You guys have been supporting me a lot lately. Thank you so much for 7,000 subscribers. My goal this year is to hit at the very least 15,000 subscribers and also 10 million Roblox value. So I want your support in this journey. Alright, anyways, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord server, and yeah, that was pretty much it, and I'll see you in the next one.